guys, welcome back. So we've got the silver done on all these guys, and unfortunately on some of the riders I've had to deal with what I know now is orange peel, so we'll get into that when we come to showing these off. But for the moment, let's have a look at some of the ones that came out nicer. We'll go for this one. So I've managed to do all the silver, done in the standard Vallejo metal colour steel and then highlighted with dark aluminium, which despite saying dark aluminium, is still pretty vibrant, as you can see. I'm quite pleased with how it's come out on the greaves and the little studs, which we can... There you go. Yeah, quite happy with those. Let's put it back the right way. Yeah, so I managed to get these done this week. Not quite as much as I'd done as I'd planned. I'd hoped to have got the gold done, but again, one of the big problems with that is I think I was trying to deal with orange peel. Let's see if I can. There we go. So, as you can see, very smooth. You notice it on the top reflection around here. Fairly smooth. And then when I go to this side, it's kind of grainy. So that's like it feels grainy. So what's happened with that is I've been using my airbrush, and on some of the models I'll be doing it right and spraying from about here. On where it's gone grainy, I think what's happened is I've either sprayed, I think I've sprayed too far away. There could be several reasons for it, but what is happening is, when it wants to zoom, when the paint leaves the end of the nozzle of the airbrush, the particles are drying before they hit the miniature. So as a result, instead of like going, and it's the primer that's done it, so instead of going on and then forming one wet layer, and then when it dries, because it's polyurethane based, constricts around the model. What's happened is it goes on dry, so it doesn't constrict, which means you've just got loads, thousands of tiny little bumps, and it's not been amazing. Now what I should have done is, if I'd have realised it before I'd started putting too much effort in, I probably should have stripped them. However, I didn't, so I've been trying to battle around it, and that is why I have the gloss varnish here. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to find, is it this one? Ooh. Yeah. So what I've tried to do is I've gone onto the models and I've found where it's kind of gritty, and I've put a layer of gloss varnish, not diluted, just gloss varnish on. Because my thought was, is gloss varnish will obviously want to level everything out. So I'm going to do it now with all of the gold, which obviously is going to take a lot longer. Luckily, I don't have to do this on any of the steeds. They haven't had the orange peel effect, it's only the riders. So as these are the biggest piece of the model, I think I'm going to be able to get away with it. But it's not ideal, I'm not very happy with it, but I'm not going back and stripping all of these miniatures for a few parts. Like it's just too much time. I've got a huge backlog. These need to get done, and to be perfectly honest, if I hold two of them up, right, yeah, it's a little noticeable, but really, from that far away, and especially when they say these aren't the right steeds, I'd have thought, but is he going to balance? No, so we'll have to hold it. 1 sec. Bear with. That works. It's not what I imagined doing on video today, but we'll get there. But with that, whatever. Can't get the talent today. Alright, faff. But from that distance, I don't think you can notice. You've got these steeds, which are going to take up a lot of the visual interest, especially with that huge streak of blue going down them. So to be perfectly honest, I'm not too bothered, at least not to the point where I'm going to say, blow it on putting all of them in methylated spirits to strip them all off, start all again. It's just not worth it. Not when I'm so close to completing them. So with that in mind, the next task I've got to do, which I'll probably be doing tonight and tomorrow, maybe even Monday since it's a bank holiday here, gloss varnish, and I think I'm going to try watering it down a little and then putting it on. So the idea will be, like I say, if you've got all the particles, hopefully it wants to sink into each of these and just levels it off a bit. Still going to be grainy, but it's not, after using the gloss varnish, it is not as grainy as before I put it on, so it's kind of doing its job, and we'll have to go from there. Got to decide which of the golds I want to use. I'm thinking I do like the look of, where's the antique one? And the 2 gold powders. Do quite like that one. That is very bright though, so I'll have to make a decision. Not 100% sure which one, but we'll decide on the day. There's not going to be too much in it, to be fair. And I think with the, especially with the steeds, I think I've got a nice little setup for painting this stuff on. We'll have to wait and see. But this will be, once this is completed, and I can then, after this, I'll be moving on to tassels and cleaning up, and then it will be base work, which is just very simple. Same as I've done on the Slickblade Seekers, the Drakenhof Nightshade. Well, painted Stonewall Grey, Drakenhof Nightshade, and then it'll be Drybrush White. A few grass tufts, lip the base, they're done. I've got to put some magnets on as well, and they'll be done after assembling them. What I'm working on next is up for debate. I've got so many things to do. I've got some World War II Russians, Germans to finish off, Americans to finish off. The Americans will be good because then I can play my friend in Chain of Command. Check that game system out if you haven't already. And I'll be able to get some games in when I meet with him. If not, I've also got the Russians and the Germans to do, because I've got enough to do Kursk scenario for Chain of Command. They've got 2, they call them point-sized campaigns, but they're small campaigns. And I've got enough to do both sides of that, so I can put games on for people, show them the game, which will be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got the little undead project, so I've got a Necromancer and a White King to paint. And that's just going to be a bit of fun at the moment, and even if I did do an army, I don't think I'd use the White King. I don't think. But they're there for a bit of fun, because I want to try out my enamels and water effect. So I've never used this stuff before, but I've got a little tub just to have a test out. The idea, I think, is I'm going to, when I put the thick mud on, I'm going to just pipette some of the water effect on the top so it pools in the dips of the mud. I'm just going to go with either the end of a paintbrush or something and a bit of sprue, and I'm just going to put like footprints and whatnot in there, some scrapes and whatnot, so the water pools. Bit of grass, dark grass, which should make it look pretty cool. A little swampy, which is what I'm going for. Apart from that, what else do I have? Got Blood Bowl to paint. I've got a few teams for that. I've got the box game plus a full Dark Elf team that I've got to make. Plethora of Batman stuff, but that's in no rush. Got my Drukari, and I've still got a load of Slaanesh stuff to make. I've got a fair few characters, and I do want to be getting the new Twin Souls of Slaanesh. Not in a rush for those at the moment, but I will be wanting to get those to complete the collection at some point. So yeah, I've got plenty of options. I'll be definitely doing, if it's anything other than Slaanesh, I'll be doing a separate video playlist to put them on. That's it, guys, for this week. Hopefully you can learn from my mistake. Don't orange peel your miniatures. That's all I can advise. Make sure that your primer is not drying before it hits your miniature. If you've got any doubt what I mean, get yourself, in fact it's probably a really good idea to be fair, is force the problem so you can recognise the problem. So get yourself a piece of card, spray from like a good distance away with your primer, like a couple of coats, let that dry, and it should go grainy, you'll see what I mean. And you'll be able to notice it when you put stuff like contrast paint and ink over the top, because instead of just shimmering off, it'll just want to, it's almost as if the primer's absorbent and it just goes whoomph, absorbs in, gives no depth of contrast, so the contrast paint becomes a little pointless. And yeah, altogether a bad experience, unless you're doing it on your card. So guys, that's it for this week. Learn from my mistakes. Catch you next time. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment and subscribe. Also be sure to check out our Facebook page at Wolfen Studios, the link's in the description. As always, thanks for stopping by, catch you next time.